Chapter 61, Strange Inside Story. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Emperor Zhou, what are you? Yi Junlin's eyes narrowed slightly. According to memory, this type of dynasty is different from the sects and aristocratic families in that they have a mysterious power called national destiny as their trump card. The function of national luck is very mysterious. It can assist cultivation, heal the body, and increase strength. And the common people of the world form the basis of the national destiny. If a ruler wants to gain blessings for the country, he must be recognized by the general public. Therefore, there is a relationship of benefit and benefit between the two. As the saying goes, water can carry a boat, but it can also overturn it. At this time, Emperor Zhou didn't seem to be in a very good condition. He was taking advantage of Zhou's national fortune to heal his injuries, and he was still a bit frightened and ready for action. Hey, Venerable Yi is making a joke. Emperor Zhou smiled bitterly. When he saw Yi Junlin for the first time, he was a little surprised by Yi Junlin's young appearance. After all, according to various rumors, Emperor Zhou subconsciously thought that he was a dull, pedantic, old-fashioned white-haired old man. The most important thing is that Emperor Zhou found that with his perfect cultivation in the Mahayana realm, he could not see through Yi Junlin's specific realm. Did this person use some kind of secret technique to hide his cultivation? Emperor Zhou was a little confused. Even so, judging from the Battle of Huangzhou, Emperor Zhou also respected Yi Junlin very much, because except for himself, the man who carries the fate of a country, no one in the entire Zhou dynasty can pose a threat to him. Yi Junlin said, Emperor Zhou, can you tell me what exactly happened? Emperor Zhou coughed a few times. The prince understood and signaled the military officials to exit the hall, leaving only a few people. The ghost tribe of Ming Yuan launched an offensive against me, Great Zhou, for no reason. This was something I, Great Zhou, did not expect. Many ministers in the court were speculating that there were treasures coveted by the ghost tribe in the palace. This made them so. Big move. Emperor Zhou sighed helplessly, but the problem is that even I, the leader of the Great Zhou Kingdom, don't know what this treasure is. Yi Junlin was a little speechless. Are you also confused? Then how did you get this injury? In the entire Great Zhou dynasty, who can hurt a monk who has reached the perfect Mahayana realm? What's more, this is the Emperor Zhou who carries the great destiny of the country. Zun Yi asked the key point. Before the ghost army attacked the Zhou dynasty, in no way, my ancestral mausoleum was once invaded by a mysterious person. Later, I rushed to the scene immediately and used the blessing of the national fortune. This attack get rid of that mysterious man. When Emperor Zhou talked about this matter, his face was full of deep fear. The strange thing is that I can accurately feel that the mysterious man is obviously very strong, and even I am not his opponent, but he is restrained. I retreated with some scruples, and after a while, the ghost tribe began to attack me, Dazhou. Hear the words, the prince looked shocked. He originally thought that the emperor used the fortune of the country to forcefully repel the mysterious man who invaded the ancestral mausoleum, but he did not expect that there was such a thrilling inside story. You must know how powerful the power of national destiny is. With his emperor's cultivation and the use of national destiny, he is enough to compete with the best in the tribulation realm. However, even the emperor personally admitted that he was invincible, so one can imagine the opponent's strength. How terrible it is. The most incredible thing is that the man actually retreated like this. Afterwards, the ghost army began to invade, and there must be an inevitable connection. It seems that the problem lies in the ancestral mausoleum. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered. Judging from the description of Emperor Zhou, the ghost clan was instructed by the mysterious man to attack Zhou dynasty in order to completely capture this ancestral mausoleum. There are definitely huge interests involved behind it, otherwise I would never do such a thankless thing. But the strange thing is that since the mysterious man has the power to crush Emperor Zhou, why did he suddenly give up and retreat? And what is there about this ancestral mausoleum worth exploring? There are so many doubts. The more he thought about it, the more Yi Junlin became more interested. He originally traveled to this world of cultivation, and he had a cheat-like golden finger. He didn't need to practice to lie down, so he had the mentality of playing in the world, eating, drinking, and having fun. he originally thought that the day would pass like this, but he didn't expect to find out that there was a mystery behind it, which made him feel even more interesting. Is there such a strange thing? Li Wujie frowned, the red chinya next to her narrowed her eyes slightly, and a sharp light flashed in her eyes, as if she was remembering a certain rumor she had heard in the Central Territory. Emperor Zhou, if you don't feel presumptuous, can you take me to the ancestral mausoleum to see it? Yi Junlin opened the door and asked. Emperor Zhou sat on the dragon chair and fell silent. How presumptuous. After all, how important is the ancestral mausoleum to the king of a country? Is it for you, an outsider, to see what you want? The prince saw the emperor's dilemma and said very politely, Sir Yi, the ancestral mausoleum is where my ancestors are buried. If your noble body goes in, I'm afraid it will be contaminated with bad things. Then he changed the subject and said respectfully, Venerable Yi has come here and helped us repel the ghost army. He deserves to be warmly entertained by me, Dazhou. Yes, the state banquet prepared in the imperial dining room is about to begin, so why not move here now? Enjoy it at Tianhe Hall. Emperor Zhou also spoke at this time. Master Yi, please forgive me for not being able to meet this request. The ancestral mausoleum of the Zhou royal family cannot be opened casually, but as the most distinguished guest, I will give it to you. The most generous treatment, you can choose any treasure from the treasury. It can be seen that Emperor Zhou is still very sincere. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. I am a man with a system. Just by signing in every day, I can be rich enough to rival a country. How can I lack the things in your treasury? Although the Zhou is one of the immortal dynasties in the East region, the treasury must have many treasures that make outsiders crazy after years of accumulation, but in Yi Junlin's eyes, there is no attraction at all. He is just curious about the intention of the mysterious man to invade the ancestral tomb. Since he is unwilling to open it, Yi Junlin will not force him. He is a casual person. Well. Yi Junlin waved his hand. The prince secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, I know that Venerable Yi is a reasonable person. Everyone, please come this way. Then, everyone went to the state banquet. At this time, outside the territory of Dezhou, there is a gloomy and terrifying peak. It is a sunny day, but the sun's rays can't shine in at all. Every few blocks of the road, you can see a few ghost soldiers wearing armor and holding spears standing guard. They have no expression on their faces and exude a strong yin energy. Deep in the peak, there is a palace built of bones. The table is full of plates, which are all processed flesh, various human organs, and black and white eyeballs. The smell of blood permeates the air. A ghost creature with gray skin and a single horn on his forehead sits on a throne covered with human skin. His palm as big as a palm fan grabs a bunch of eyeballs in the air and throws them into his mouth to chew. His ugly face shows a comfortable look. My king, this is your wine. At its feet, there is a human female cultivator with disheveled hair, no clothes, and scars all over her body. She holds up a bronze tripod with trembling hands, which is filled with bright red and sticky blood. This is the blood of a 1-month-old baby. The one-horned ghost king took the cup and drank it all. After throwing the cup away, he forcibly hugged the female cultivator in his arms and laughed. It's great, that it was very excited to lead the tribe to leave the nether abyss and fight in the outside world, and no longer have to live that boring life without light. After so many years, I finally waited for this opportunity. I must seize the opportunity to perform well. If I can successfully capture the great Zhou dynasty, my prestige in the ghost tribe will be higher. The most important thing is, as long as I get the recognition of those people, I may have a place in the East region in the future. The one-horned ghost king rubbed his chin and sneered. The female cultivator was trembling. Her pretty face was full of despair. She was a Jindan casual cultivator in Sangzhou. Later, she was unfortunately captured by the other party and suffered painful torture day and night. During this period, she saw too many inhumane scenes. She was mentally broken and wanted to die. However, the other party was too powerful and had been manipulated, so she didn't even have the qualifications to commit suicide. It's so late, why hasn't there been any news? With the strength of Kunta and the others, it's enough to force Emperor Zhou to take action. The one I fear most is the guy who carries the fate of the country. that the one-horned ghost king looked fierce. At this moment, a strange black fog floated into the hall, and a mysterious man in a black robe and hood walked out. A low and hoarse voice came from under the brim of the hat, containing uncontrollable anger. "Waste! What are you still doing here?" Hearing this, the one-horned demon king was not annoyed, but looked horrified. He fell to his knees from the throne and said in a trembling voice, "I pay my respects to the envoy. Window_tabula equals window_tabula dot push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target _type, mix. Chapter 62. You are such a vulgar person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Faced with the mysterious man's angry rebuke, the one-horned ghost king was filled with fear and dared not complain at all, because the person in front of him was the mastermind behind the scenes, the one who all the creatures in the nether abyss had to rely on, and the fate of all races in the future would be in their hands. Now all the races in the nether abyss are taking action for the holy war, and you, as the ghost king, are hiding in the back to have fun. Can I understand that the ghost race has given up?" The black-robed messenger said coldly. "It's unfair. I have sent troops to attack the Zhou dynasty. I believe that the Zhou emperor will be forced to take action soon. By then, his details will be exposed, and I will be more confident to deal with him." The one-horned ghost king was so scared that his heart trembled, and he hurriedly explained, "If this causes misunderstandings and delays the future of the entire ghost race, won't the other ghost kings team up to tear it apart to vent their anger?" The black-robed messenger laughed in anger. "Fool, the 800,000-man army you sent out was destroyed outside the capital just now. It has no impact on Emperor Zhou. How is it possible?" The head of the one-horned ghost king was buzzing, and his face was shocked. "This 800,000-man army has dozens of ghost generals in the fusion realm alone, and there are more than 10 ghost commanders in the Qing realm. If Emperor Zhou does not come out, he will definitely turn the Zhou dynasty upside down." In the end, they died without even entering the capital. Is this Zhou dynasty so powerful? The one-horned ghost king looked ugly. The black-robed messenger said coldly, "It was not the Zhou dynasty that destroyed your 800,000-man army, but a cultivator who happened to pass through Zhou. At that time, the people in the capital called him Venerable Yi." Venerable? The one-horned ghost king was stunned, and then became angry. How dare a foreign cultivator disrupt his plan? He was really impatient to live. Although he was surprised by the opponent's strength, for him who was in the tribulation realm, a mere root of the dragon was nothing. "Just in case, this Mingyuan pill is for you. You must take down Zhou for me. I will not allow you to lose again." The voice of the black-robed messenger was cold and ruthless. A purple pill with mysterious patterns slowly floated in front of the one-horned ghost king. The one-horned ghost king knew that this was his last chance, and immediately made up his mind and said in a deep voice, "I will definitely do what the messenger wishes when I go there this time." "Hee hee." The black-robed messenger sneered, and his whole body turned into a black mist and disappeared, as if he had never appeared. "Ha!" The one-horned ghost king breathed a sigh of relief, raised his hand to wipe the cold sweat from his forehead, and was extremely angry when he thought that the plan was almost ruined. Bang! The terrifying evil spirit suddenly broke out, and the whole mountain was shaking. The one-horned ghost king turned his head and glanced, raised his hand and grabbed the female cultivator who was curled up in the corner, and roared with a fierce look in his eyes, "Do you think that the performance of the king just now is ridiculous? Say it." The female cultivator was frightened and pale, and said in horror, "You, the king, I definitely didn't." "Bitch, you are lying." Bang. The one-horned ghost king was so angry that he grabbed her and exploded her, then he flashed into the sky, his roar echoing in all directions like thunder. "All soldiers, follow the king to fight." Yes. Afterwards, countless ghosts followed the one-horned ghost king, and rushed straight to Zhou with the black fog. Tianhe Hall, several beautiful palace maids with veils danced gracefully, accompanied by the beautiful music played by geishas, creating a different artistic conception. At this time, Junlin and his friends were enjoying the highest standard state banquet in Zhou. These ingredients are not ordinary things, either rare birds and animals, or taken from natural treasures, so each dish is priceless and contains many benefits. Ordinary cultivators can even break through on the spot after eating them, which is very beneficial. Li Wujie picked up the wine jar, raised his head and drank it all up, his face flushed, and he exclaimed, "This wine is really strong." Bai Xiaoxi picked up a piece of meat and put it in his mouth to chew, his rat face showed a happy expression. Delicious. Hong Qinya took a few sips and didn't move his chopsticks again. This action made the prince's heart rise to his throat, and he tentatively asked, "Fairy Hong, is there anything that doesn't suit your taste?" Hong Qinya hugged his arms and closed his eyes to rest. He just had no appetite for these so-called delicacies. Seeing this, the prince looked embarrassed. Junlin said, "Don't pay attention to him, he's losing weight." "So that's it, Fairy Hong is really self-disciplined." The prince sighed. "You lose weight." Hong Qianya's eye muscles twitched, and he suppressed his anger, but now he had to turn a deaf ear and swallow his anger. The prince picked up the wine glass, stood up and toasted Junlin, saying loudly, "Venerable Yi, it is my honor to represent Zhou to entertain such a distinguished guest. I will drink first, you are welcome." After that, he drank it all in one gulp. "Okay." Junlin nodded. The reason why he stayed here was to see if the ghost tribe would make any new moves, because the task issued by the system a few days ago had not yet been rewarded, which made Junlin realize that the task was not successfully completed. "Papa!" Suddenly, the prince clapped his hands, and all the palace maids retreated. An old man in a grey robe with a calm face walked into the hall with a guqin on his back. "This is Master Nangong. He is the undisputed #1 musician in my Zhou dynasty. He is very famous in many places in Sangzhou. The music he plays is not only beautiful, but also contains some profound Taoist meaning. It is an excellent experience for practitioners." Once, a nascent soul monk who was nearing the end of his life came all the way to listen to the music he played. He directly realized what he was playing and had a breakthrough on the spot. The prince introduced. "I, Nangong Changfeng, have met you all." Nangong Changfeng was neither humble nor arrogant. He cupped his hands and bowed and said calmly. Every move he made showed an indescribable arrogance. Junlin rubbed his chin, wondering why this old guy looked so naughty. "Master Nangong, please start." The prince said in a respectful tone. Nangong Changfeng sat cross-legged on the ground, placed the guzheng on his knees, and slowly plucked the strings with his fingers, making a wonderful sound that resounded throughout the universe. Zheng. The music is very coherent and smooth, echoing in all directions, and seems to be able to cleanse people's souls. The whole process. Li Wujie's face looked a little moved and he listened carefully. Bai Xiaoxi was so intoxicated that she couldn't help but shake her body slightly. Hong Qianya's face was expressionless, and she didn't even bother to raise her eyelids. As for Junlin, when he heard the second half, he even let out a long yawn, held his head with one hand, and fell asleep. Nangong Changfeng saw it in his eyes, and his old face became more and more gloomy. What's the meaning? Is this contempt for my piano skills? How many monks heard the music he played and felt grateful as if they had received a treasure, but why did it become a lullaby here? Nangong Changfeng felt that his self-esteem was frustrated, and he finished playing while holding his breath. He stood up and said coldly, "Your Highness, if this happens in the future, there is no need for you to invite me. I can't afford to embarrass this person." The prince coughed a few times. "Master Nangong, what do you mean?" Nangong Changfeng pointed at Junlin on the main seat and said angrily, "Ask him." The prince said cautiously, "Master Yi, do you feel dissatisfied with the music played by Master Nangong?" Junlin picked his ears and said, "It's just a so-so." He likes music with high melody, but Nangong Changfeng plays it too gently, and he is a smelly old man, so Junlin is not interested at all. As for the Taoist meaning contained in the sound of the piano, it has no effect at all on a person like him who usually lies on his back and relies solely on touching porcelain for his cultivation. Ah! The prince looked embarrassed. He didn't expect that even the music played by Master Nangong was rated as SOSO. this gave the prince a very ridiculous feeling. He had been so fascinated just now. The prince's mind was moved, and he looked at Hong Qinya, who was still closed, and said secretly, "Did you see that even the red fairy is immersed in it?" She closed her eyes and had endless aftertaste. After receiving this evaluation, Nangong Changfeng was so angry that he almost vomited blood. This was a naked humiliation for him who was proud and famous. It is a trample on his personality. "Shut up. You vulgar guy, you don't understand music at all." Nangong Changfeng angrily scolded in public. Boom. A fierce murderous aura erupted. "Old guy, you've already killed yourself." Li Wujie's eyes shot out cold light. He grabbed the handle of the knife at his waist and stood up suddenly, and drew the knife to slash at Nangong Changfeng. As long as the master gives permission, he will immediately hack Nangong Changfeng to death. Chapter 63, Just Have Hands. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The prince's forehead was covered with cold sweat. Why did he want to kill someone for no reason? He was extremely regretful. If he had known earlier, he would not have gone to such lengths to invite Nangong Changfeng to play a song on the spot. He really did something that backfired. Being locked by the terrifying murderous intent, Nangong Changfeng's hairs exploded all over his body and his face changed drastically, but he did not beg for mercy. Instead, he stiffened his neck and looked at Yi Junlin angrily. Obviously, he was very convinced. "Venerable Yi, Master Nangong has such a temper. He actually has no other intentions, he just speaks his mind." The prince wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. "Your Highness, I cannot stand this insult. Even if I die, I will say that this guy doesn't know music theory at all. He is just a rough man who knows how to fight and kill. Why do you say that my piano skills are mediocre?" Nangong Changfeng pointed at Yi Junlin and shouted excitedly. "You! Hey!" The prince shook his head helplessly. He hoped that Nangong Changfeng would die decently. After all, he was the #1 musician in Zhou dynasty. At this time, the atmosphere at the scene was very tense. Li Wujie looked kind and stared at Nangong Changfeng. Hong Qinya closed his eyes and his face was calm as usual, but the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, revealing his true thoughts. Good scolding. The audience is looking forward to you. Although the playing is indeed very ordinary, after all, Hong Qinya was once a cultivator in the central region. He came from a foreign country, so he had a wide range of experience. For example, Nangong Changfeng's level was at most at the middle and lower level there. Yi Junlin sat in the main seat, feeling speechless, and just wanted to say something. In his mind, the system prompt sounded, "Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the option task. Option 1, the host is angry and orders Nangong Changfeng to be executed. After the task is completed, he will get 10 high-quality spirit crystals. Option 2, the host personally plays a song to make Nangong Changfeng feel ashamed, and is rewarded with 10 bags of top-quality pet feed, milky flavor. Top-quality pet feed, the more you eat, the faster you grow." Huh. You actually chose the option task at this time? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Option 1 is simple, but the reward is too little. Now he can get more than tens of millions of top-quality spirit crystals for a meal. Moreover, asking him to order the execution of Nangong Changfeng would be seen as a rage by others. If this gets out, it will damage his perfect image. The other option is to play a song in person and slap Nangong Changfeng in the face. If successful, he will get 10 bags of top-quality pet animal feed. According to the description of the item, it can increase the cultivation experience of the pet and has the effect of accelerating growth. For example, his Mount Xuanhuan has an initial cultivation level. Relying on the pure blood of ancient mythical beasts, it is almost invincible in the same realm. However, if he can make further breakthroughs, it will be more dazzling to take him to show off. If you use top-quality pet animal feed, the cultivation level will increase faster, and you don't have to wait for it to grow slowly. The thought turned. Looking at the glaring, fearless Nangong Changfeng, Yi Junlin slowly rolled up his sleeves and smiled crookedly. is it just playing a song? I can do it with my hands, that the clear voice echoed in the hall, and everyone else was stunned. Nangong Changfeng was so angry that his face turned the color of liver. Just play it with your hands. What a arrogant thing to say. When he was young, he became a disciple of a famous teacher and worked hard to improve his zither skills. Thousands of years have passed. He dares to say that he is the best in zither, but he is also one of the few in the entire eastern region. As a result, this guy in front of him actually dared to say that he can do it with his hands. He is indeed a murderous devil. Simple-minded but strong-limbed. The prince looked strange, and secretly said, "This is too much. If it is really enough to just do it, then where is the master in this world?" As the saying goes, specialize in your profession, and the same is true for practitioners. After all, no matter how strong you are, you can always be omniscient and omnipotent, right? There must be some blind spots in your knowledge. The prince felt that Yi Junlin was pretending too much. In a word, it is better to kill than to humiliate. Nangong Changfeng is a master after all. If he offended you with words, you can kill him. Who makes you higher in status and stronger? But if you say this now, you will lose your status. Master is right. Just do it. Li Wujie puffed up his chest and said proudly, although he also knew why he was proud. In short, no matter what the master said, he, as a disciple, should just praise him without thinking. Come on. Come on. I'll lend you my fuyokin to play. Let's see what kind of earth-shattering music you can play. Nangong Changfeng laughed in anger. How about it? Are you brave enough? Ha ha ha, I know what you are talking about. If you can play it, sows will climb trees. A cultivator like you who only knows how to fight and kill, you don't know anything about the way of Qin. The prince lowered his head, sweating coldly. He thought it was just a simple meal, but he didn't expect things to develop to this point. He secretly glanced at the silver-haired young man. He was really afraid that the other party would break his defense on the spot and start killing directly. It was surprising. Yi Junlin was not angry, but smiled and said, "Okay, let's try it." "Humph, take it." Nangong Changfeng was stunned at first, then sneered, looking forward to seeing this arrogant guy make a fool of himself. The Fuyao floated in front of Yi Junlin, and each string exuded a crystal luster, which looked extremely extraordinary. Yi Junlin gently stroked the body of the qin, and thought to himself, "Tongzi, what level is your qindao skill?" He remembered that when he signed in before, he opened the experience package about learning musical instruments, which meant that he didn't need to study hard and practice hard, and he could level up with one click. Ding, warm reminder, the host's piano skills are currently at the pinnacle. The system prompt sounded. The skill levels are respectively the beginning of the door, the master, the outstanding, the superb, and the pinnacle. Nangong Changfeng, who has studied hard for almost a lifetime, can barely reach the master level, but even so, he can enjoy a great reputation in Sangzhou and be sought after by countless cultivators. However, Yi Junlin's piano skills have reached the pinnacle with a loud sound, which is so terrifying. Hurry up, don't dawdle. Nangong Changfeng looked contemptuous, thinking that Yi Junlin was deliberately making a mystery. Shut up. Master is trying to find the feeling. Li Wujie said in a stern voice with a thick face. The prince rubbed his eyebrows and felt that he couldn't bear to look directly at it. He could already predict what kind of unpleasant song Yi Junlin would play. Seeing Yi Junlin pressing the strings with his left hand and picking the sound with his right hand, he took a deep breath and plucked the strings with his fingers flexibly. Clang clang clang. The sound of the piano suddenly sounded. The melody was passionate and ups and downs, with a murderous aura of opening and closing. It also had a kind of heroic meaning of looking down on the world and who else but it. Swish, Hong Qianye suddenly opened his eyes, and a flash of unbelievable shock flashed in his eyes. This is. Clang clang clang. Yi Junlin played with full momentum, his fingering became more and more violent, and the melody became more and more passionate and uplifting, which was simply magnificent. The song he played was power to rule the world from his previous life. Window, _tabula equals window, _tabula dot push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300 x 250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target underscore type, mix. Chapter 64, The Tragic One-Horned Ghost King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nangong Changfeng first stroked his beard and sneered, then frowned, and finally pulled off his beard in fright, dumbfounded. The prince's energy was shaken, the blood in his body boiled, and his breathing became rapid. Li Wujie's face was flushed, and his heart almost jumped out of his chest, and the beating sound was like a drum, burning, so burning. Yi Junlin was immersed in the state. His fingering was blurred quickly, leaving afterimages on the strings. His long silver-white hair was flying wildly, his eyes were shining brightly, and his skin exuded a sheen as crystal clear as jade. Everyone suddenly had an illusion, as if an ancient god-king was playing a peerless piano sound in front of them. How did he play such a wonderful song? No one dares to compete with such a superb level at the top level of the capital city. Hongye's face was shocked, and he realized that the sound of the piano contained some kind of great meaning. Combining the experience of being the all-powerful man in the domain, he gained a new understanding. Boom. Hong Ye's momentum is rising steadily, from the early stage of Mahayana, to the stage, to the later stage, to the peak, and then to perfection. We are only one step away from crossing the tribulation realm. Li Wujie stood as still as a clay sculpture and entered a state of enlightenment. With a click, the bottleneck shattered, and the realm broke through from the combined body to the Mahayana. An aura hundreds of times more powerful than before was released from the body, with black hair flying all over his head, and his eyes as cold as lightning. He looked at Yi Junlin, his eyes full of enthusiasm. Boom. At this time, Yi Junlin burst out with a fearful aura. The prince was shocked by the drama, and said in a loud voice, transcending the tribulation realm. Your Excellency is actually a virtual immortal. That with the blessing of cultivation and his peak Qin Dao skills, Yi Junlin played Quan Yu Tianxia like a divine help. Clang clang clang. Strange ripples spread out, forming a resonance along the great road, and the sound spread through the mountains and rivers 90,000 miles away. The people living on this land are bathed in the sound of the piano. Those poor people who were seriously ill and often bedridden had a completely new mental outlook, and the old diseases in their bodies were gone. They ran out excitedly, walking as fast as flying, and cheering for joy. The officers and soldiers of the great Zhou dynasty, including monks from all sects, achieved enlightenment one after another and achieved breakthroughs in their cultivation. What a miracle! What a miracle! God bless me Dazhou! Everyone burst into tears of gratitude and shouted, buzz buzz. Invisibly, the national destiny of the great Zhou dynasty is rising crazily. Xuanhuan, Emperor Zhou was shrouded in white light, and he suddenly seemed to feel something. With the help of his country's fate, he directly broke through the shackles in his body for many years. Starting today, Emperor Zhou is officially promoted to the tribulation realm and becomes the only virtual immortal level king among all the immortal dynasties in Sangzhou. Which senior is helping me, de Zhou? Listening to the source of the sound, it seems that it comes from Tianhe Hall. Could it be? Emperor Zhou's breathing was rapid and his eyes were full of awe. At this time, the ghost army that broke into the land of the great Zhou dynasty, led by the one-horned ghost king, was aggressive all the way, trying to enter the capital, but unexpectedly, the situation has changed. The exciting and fluctuating sound of the piano echoes in the sky, containing extremely mysterious power. For the human race, the sound played by Yi Junlin is of great benefit. If it is replaced by an abyssal creature, it will cause fatal damage. Ah! A series of screams came from a large group of black fog that covered the sky and the sun. Many ghost creatures were covered in white smoke, and their flesh and blood were rapidly melting. Even if you use magic power to resist, it will have no effect. This kind of harm is like a curse. Your Majesty, save us quickly. The subordinates looked in pain and wailed. The one-horned ghost king was frightened and angry. He released a storm of evil energy all over his body. He looked up to the sky and roared, "Who is taking action? Get out of here! What's the use of hiding?" The roar caused the mountain peaks to shatter, and the sky was about to collapse. Unfortunately, the sound of the piano still echoed, without any interruption at all. In just a few breaths, the densely packed ghost creatures were wiped out, and the original army of hundreds of thousands of ghosts was reduced to less than 10 people. Several ghost commanders were struggling to hold on, and their whole bodies were about to melt. They released information through weak mental fluctuations: "King, withdraw quickly, the powerful human race is here." Then, they disappeared one by one. No. The one-horned ghost king's eyes were about to burst, and he let out a roar of grief and anger. His whole body was scarred and shocking, but because of his early cultivation level in the tribulation realm as a support, he was least affected and could barely survive in the end. But for the one-horned ghost king, the whole process was simply painful. Who the hell? The one-horned ghost king roared harshly, and had no choice but to retreat. However, held back a violent anger and forced himself forward. The one-horned ghost king knew that he had no way out. He led millions of troops to attack Zhou dynasty, but the whole army was wiped out. If he didn't do something, he would be judged even if he went back. Soon, the white smoke on the one-horned ghost king's body sizzled. The kind of pain that tore his lungs apart, penetrated deep into his bones, and made even his soul tremble. No, if this continues. The one-horned ghost king gritted his teeth, and there was a purple medicine in his hand, filled with an evil aura, the underworld given by this messenger. Now, the only choice is to eat. Even if I pay any price, I will still find the strong man behind the scenes. That the one-horned ghost king swallowed the medicine, howled at the sky, and 2 dark purple rays of light shot out from his eyes. He felt the power in his body surging and burning, and his cultivation level leaped from the early stage of the tribulation to the late stage of the tribulation. Boom! The one-horned ghost king's aura became extremely terrifying, and his body was covered with dark purple light, like a strange meteor sweeping away into the distance. Wherever he passed along the way, the people below were all shocked. The one-horned ghost king could feel that as his cultivation level increased, the effect of the piano sound on him became smaller. Everything came from that dark star. The one-horned ghost king knew that this should be temporary, and there might be unimaginable side effects later, but he had no way to retreat, and he had to complete the task assigned by the messenger. Kill! 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 That the one-horned ghost king's eyes were bloodshot, and his face was murderous. As long as he was still alive, he would break into the capital and kill people. Obviously, this had become the one-horned ghost king's obsession. Zhengshengsheng. At this moment, the passionate piano music reached its climax, and the mysterious power released became stronger and stronger. In various parts of the Great Zhou, strange images appeared one after another, shocking the world. The moon rises above the sea. A splendid picture of mountains and rivers. The stars shine in the blue sky. The sun and the moon shine. The dragon and the phoenix sing together. The whole Great Zhou was boiling, and the cheers shook the earth. What? The one-horned ghost king was horrified, and his body fell to the bottom of the valley as if hit hard, raising a huge dust. Ah! The one-horned ghost king had a painful face and screamed miserably, like a wild boar rolling in the mud. The blood in his body was disappearing rapidly, revealing the white bones, and even the bones were covered with spider webs, as if they would break in the next second. Who did it? Who? You bastard, come out to me. The one-horned ghost king completely collapsed, and only wanted to see the piano player behind the scenes, and didn't want to die in such an unclear way. It was a pity that even this thought became a luxury. The great terror of the human race. The one-horned ghost king was terrified. I was very unwilling, very unwilling. The ghost king who had crossed the calamity realm died without knowing who killed him. It was really cowardly. In the end, the one-horned ghost king was in despair, and his body collapsed and turned into dust and dissipated, and even his consciousness was forever silent in the darkness. In Tianhe Hall, Junlin's fingers plucked the strings of the zither, and his fingering was not as open and closed as before, and his aura began to converge. After a while, power to rule the world was finished. The whole audience was silent. A pin drop can be heard. Ha! Junlin exhaled heavily and wiped the sweat from his forehead. I was so excited just now that I reached a state of selflessness. The song Power to Rule the World is really awesome. Ding! Congratulations to the host for defeating the ghost army, and reward the immortal 5 element spiritual roots. gold, wood, water, and earth. In his mind, the system prompt sounded playfully, Yi Junlin. Chapter 65 Stargate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What's wrong? What am I doing? From beginning to end, I didn't see any ghost creatures except playing the music. How can I defeat the ghost army? Yi Junlin joked, Tongzi, you are not broken, right? Ding, the ghost army that broke into the Great Show was just destroyed by the sound of the piano played by Su. The system is professional, please don't question it. Be careful, the system will cry for you, the system explained. Yi Junlin's face suddenly understood, so that's it. Then, he felt the changes in his body, which was an extremely rare immortal 5-element spiritual root. With such spiritual roots, elemental Taoist magic can be easily used, and the power after release will be even more terrifying. Take the 5 extremes reincarnation Great Destruction technique for example. If Yi Junlin continues to use this move, the overall lethality will be greatly improved. Once it is fired, it is like a natural disaster. It sounds so good. Master is so powerful. Bai Xiaoxi was the first to come back to her senses and shouted excitedly. Yi Junlin pretended to cough a few times and said indifferently, I said, just use your hands. Swish, the Fuyokan was shining and floating in front of Nangong Changfeng again. At this time, Nangong Changfeng was trembling all over, his eyes were red, and he shed 2 lines of regretful tears, muttering, what a wonderful divine song, wonderful, wonderful, that he felt that his whole body and mind were cleansed, and he was extremely transparent from inside to outside, and his whole soul was sublimated. Compared with this godlike piano skills, his level is not worth mentioning at all. Poor him, he was still complacent, calling himself a master of the Guqin, and he deserved to be admired by thousands of people. In fact, he was just sitting in a well and looking at the sky. Senior is right, I played it a so-so. The funny thing is that I didn't know my own ability and scolded the senior for being a vulgar person who didn't understand music theory. I deserve to die. I really deserve to die. Nangong Changfeng was ashamed and fell to his knees, holding his beloved Guqin and crying loudly. His cry was full of grief. Master Nangong. The prince was stunned. No, I don't deserve to be called a master. Senior is the master who deserves it. I am just a clown. A complete clown. Nangong Changfeng cried and collapsed. Ding, congratulations to Su for completing the option task and obtaining 10 bags of top-quality pet animal feed. The system prompt sounded, and Yi Junlin knew that his goal had been achieved. Yi Shuxian, how do you want to deal with him? After the prince knew that Yi Junlin was a great man in the tribulation realm, he asked cautiously with a more respectful attitude. Yi Junlin waved his hand, let him leave. Anyway, he had already successfully slapped him in the face, so he didn't bother with him. Hearing this, the prince admired him more and more, and said with a bow, Yi Shuxian is broad-minded, I admire him. That he turned his head to look at the distraught old man, and sighed, come on, take Nangong Changfeng away. 2 guards with swords rushed in and dragged the crying Nangong Changfeng away. Li Wujie snorted coldly. This old guy is lucky. Otherwise, I would have killed him. Then, he looked at Yi Junlin with admiration, and said excitedly, Master, thanks to your song just now, your disciple has broken through to the Mahayana. Yes. Yi Junlin nodded, glancing at Hong Qinya from the corner of his eye. Yi Junlin discovered that this person had already reached Mahayana perfection. He sighed inwardly, this immortal is different. He is going to break through the tribulation so quickly. Hong Qinya pretended to be calm, but his heart was already in turmoil. He didn't expect Yi Junlin to do such a thing. Just with one song, he was exempted from thousands of years of hard training. Is this the method used by people with great luck? It's really terrifying. Wait, isn't this a good thing? You can use him to recover your cultivation faster. Hong Qinya thought about it and regained his confidence. He said secretly, Yi Junlin, just wait, I will surpass you soon. People like you who lie down all day long are not worthy of such great luck. You will double the humiliation you bring to me. At this time, Hong Qinya had already thought of various ways to torture Yi Junlin, such as asking Yi Junlin to wash his feet in turn, and then drink up the foot-washing water, and be grateful after the job is done. Just imagining that kind of scene, Hong Qianye was so excited that he trembled all over, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise up. Schwa. At this time, a dragon-robed figure appeared in the palace, releasing the terrible aura of the tribulation realm. "Father, you have broken through," the prince said happily. With a true virtual immortal-level strongman in charge, the position of Zhangzhou in the Great Zhou dynasty is more secure. With the blessing of this overwhelming national destiny, looking at the realm of crossing the tribulation, how much can he be the opponent of his father? Who would have thought that the Zhou emperor looked at the silver-haired blue-haired man sitting on the throne? Without any hesitation, he bowed loudly and said, "I represent the people of the Great Zhou dynasty to thank Yi Shushen for playing the divine song and blessing the people." That the prince was dumbfounded. The king of a country, a great power in the realm of crossing the tribulation, has lowered his posture to this level. How strong is the Shentian sect? Get up, it's your business to break through the tribulation. Yi Junlin waved his hand. Emperor Zhou stood up and said in awe, "Yi Shushen, you are joking. Because of the divine song you played, the national fortune of the Great Zhou has reached an unprecedented peak. I also took this opportunity to break through by chance." Before, his realm was the Mahayana perfection, and he was a bit wary of Yi Junlin, but that was all. He felt that no matter how strong the other party was, he could still suppress him with the help of the national destiny. After all, this is the Great Zhou, his home, not a remote and desolate state. But now, after understanding the piano music containing the sound of the Great Tao, the Emperor Zhou, who had a breakthrough in his cultivation, suddenly had a bright vision and finally saw the horror of this Shentian sect Piamiao peak. It turned out that what he saw before was just the tip of the iceberg. The gap between his strength and others can never be made up by the blessing of national destiny. Realizing this, Emperor Zhou hurriedly came out to express his position, throwing all the face of the monarch behind his head, and directly put his attitude to the lowest level. "First hug the thigh and say it." Yi Junlin was thinking, "It seems that you are really grateful to me." "Yes, if Yi Shushen speaks, my Great Zhou will definitely cooperate with everything within our power," Emperor Zhou said in a deep voice. "Okay, then take me to visit the ancestral mausoleum." "Okay, please come this way, I will lead the way for you," the prince. The ancestral mausoleum, it is the most heavily guarded place in the entire palace, and it is also the burial place of the descendants of the Great Zhou kingdom in the past dynasties. The Emperor Zhou waved his hand, removed various restrictions, and then led Yi Junlin and others into the ancestral mausoleum. The interior of the ancestral mausoleum is very large, and an ancient atmosphere comes to the face. In fact, except for the burial objects that can interest tomb robbers, the rest of the ancestral mausoleum is mediocre. Even I can't understand why such a being would target it, and even instigate the ghosts to attack the Great Zhou in order to occupy this place. Emperor Zhou said helplessly. "This place is full of strange things," Li Wujie said with a sigh. Until the few people walked to the end of the passage, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, and indeed did not find anything unusual. "Forget it, just return the same way." Just as Yi Junlin shook his head and prepared to leave this boring place, Hong Qianye behind him narrowed his eyes slightly, pinched his fingers with one hand, and tentatively cast a spell forward. Rumble. The sound of a millstone rolling came from the void. Gradually, an ancient and vast star gate appeared, revealing a mysterious atmosphere. This is... Emperor Zhou widened his eyes, not expecting this at all. Why would there be such a thing in the Zhou ancestral mausoleum? As Emperor Zhou, he had no idea. Yi Junlin turned his head to look at Hong Qianye, who triggered this scene, and found that the other party's face was also very surprised. "Wow! This door is so beautiful." Bai Xiaoxi's eyes sparkled, and she looked around the star gate curiously. When she stretched out her tender little hand to touch it, she found that it passed through, as if what she saw was an illusion, and this star gate did not exist at all. But Yi Junlin knew that this star gate definitely existed, but it had not yet materialized in the real world. If you want to fully activate it, you may have to pay a certain price. Emperor Zhou, how long has this dynasty existed so far? Yi Junlin asked. Emperor Zhou looked a little proud, reporting to Yi Shuxian, my great Zhou already has 1.2 million people. A cultivation force, no matter what kind of situation it survives, must be able to maintain millions of people to be qualified to be called an immortal sect, because this means that every generation has a great chariot town, and the great chariot must be continuous from generation to generation. Once the great chariot is lost, it may be removed from the immortal sect. And Emperor Zhou, as a powerful person in the realm of tribulation, is also the only virtual fairy-level king among the several immortal dynasties in Sangzhou. Before the great Zhou, was there still a country? Yi Junlin continued to ask. Emperor Zhou was stunned and said truthfully, according to the existing historical records, there are at least dozens of them, and even most of them have been lost. In the endless years of billions of years, an immortal dynasty like the Great Zhou with millions of people is actually just a drop in the ocean. Yi Junlin frowned, so this Stargate can be traced back to a more distant period. Perhaps there were records about this Stargate before, but after experiencing various turmoil, it has long been buried in the dust of history, and the ancestral tomb was built at this location by coincidence, and even the successive rulers of the Great Zhou were unaware of it. They simply thought that the feng shui here was better. Looking at the eldest disciple with a changing expression, Yi Junlin said meaningfully, Xuanhuan, tell me, do you know anything? Window, _tabula equals window, _tabula, _tabula. Push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target _type, mix. Chapter 66 Far from the Truth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Swish, swish, swish. All eyes were focused on Hong Qinya. Hong Qinya hesitated for a while, then said, as for the origin of this Stargate, I just heard it from hearsay, and there is no real evidence. It's okay, but it doesn't matter. Yi Junlin waved his hand. According to rumors, in the distant period, there were many teleportation nodes all over the Kunlun realm, which could directly reach the world. Countless Kunlun monks could travel through the universe with ease. I don't know what happened later. These teleportation nodes were the seal of the sages has never been opened again. Hear the words, everyone was shocked and looked at the virtual Stargate. This thing actually has such capabilities. There is a legend that the Kunlun world is a large cultivation planet. There are many planets like this, all over the boundless universe. In the past, monks could travel back and forth freely, but even God-transforming monks could fly out of the Kunlun world. Traveling in the void of the universe, but I don't know when, an invisible force restricted the Kunlun monks, making them unable to fly to the universe and could only live in this world until they died. The only way to break it is to overcome the tribulation and become a true immortal, and then fly to the immortal world naturally. Through the immortal world, you can be qualified to go to the universe. However, how easy is it to overcome a calamity and become an immortal? So for 99% of the monks, this generation can only stay in the Kunlun world, and the Stargate in front of you can actually ignore this restriction and easily reach all parts of the universe. If this spreads out, it will definitely cause an uproar. The emperor said excitedly, Emperor, in this way, I, the great Zhou dynasty, can expand our territory. This is a rare opportunity. In his imagination, the universe must contain many precious cultivation resources. If the Zhou can take the lead in starting overseas expansion, then the national power will definitely increase rapidly and create countless strong people. That's right, Emperor Zhou moved. This was a huge temptation for any ruler to resist. Idiot. You are thinking shit. Yi Junlin sneered, hearing this, and looked embarrassed and whispered, Yi Shuxian, what do you mean? Are you so sure that Dazhou has the ability to start interstellar expansion, instead of being invaded by alien races from outside the territory? If it is really conducive to the development of Kunlun realm, why are these star gates sealed by the sages? For example, why did that mysterious man spend so much time sending ghosts to occupy this place? Use your brains. Yi Junlin's series of scoldings were like ice water dousing the couple. Thinking of the recent turmoil, they suddenly thought about it and became frightened. So far, many monks in Kunlun realm always think that this world is a prison, and they can't see the outside scenery, but now it seems that this may be a disguised form of protection. Besides, do you know how to open it? Yi Junlin said contemptuously, and I shook our heads again, feeling our cheeks burning with shame and shame. Yes. I don't even know how to open the Star Gate, and I still think about expanding my territory to the outside world. It's simply ridiculous. Okay, keep on working hard. It is estimated that this Star Gate is the only one here, and the great good news is still behind. Yi Junlin turned around and left the ancestral mausoleum. I originally wanted to find out, but now that my curiosity is satisfied, I am naturally too lazy to wait any longer. Hey, we can only take strict precautions. Emperor Zhou looked bitter, realizing that the future of Great Zhou dynasty would be very bumpy. Fortunately, he is currently in the tribulation realm, and relying on the blessing of the huge national fortune. Even if the ghost army attacks again, he will definitely be able to defeat it. After all, the current Zhou dynasty is at the peak of its national power as never before. Emperor Zhou is still very confident about this. Master, if you really follow what you said, those dark creatures in the abyss really deserve to die. They are actually willing to betray the Kunlun realm and become the pawns of alien races outside the territory, Li Wujie said from behind, his eyes filled with awe-inspiring murderous intent. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered. What interests me most now is what happened in Kunlun realm in the first place. I'm afraid the answer must be found in the immortal realm. After all, only those who fly in the fairy world are qualified to cross the universe. From this point of view, it is definitely related to the big boss in the fairy world. Fairy world, Li Wujie was in awe. That was the place that countless monks dreamed of. It is said that the aura of the fairy world is so rich that it is beyond imagination. Even if you throw a smelly stone in the pit, you will be able to open up your spiritual wisdom and embark on the path of spiritual practice over time. The fairy world is a place where the weak prey on the strong. It will only be more cruel than the world of heaven. Hong Qianye's eyes flashed and she sneered secretly. When he overcame the tribulation and became an immortal, he did not choose to fly to the immortal realm immediately, but continued to stay in the central realm and train himself, because he heard that the immortal realm was very hierarchical and that he would even lose his freedom. Who can overcome a calamity and become an immortal these days is not a monster with extraordinary talent. To control the wind and rain in the Kunlun world and enjoy the worship of countless monks. As a result, after finally flying to the fairyland, they can only climb up from the bottom. How many people can tolerate this sense of gap? There is a saying that it is better to be a chicken head than a phoenix tail. It would be okay if he had a background in the fairy world, and there would be seniors to lead the way, but if he didn't, the situation would be even more difficult. And Hong Qianye started from scratch and became a true immortal level boss purely by working hard on his own, because she has provoked too many hostile forces in the central territory. Hong Qianye is flying to the immortal realm, and she is afraid that she will be chased to death by the people above. If you stay in the middle region, you can at least save your life. After all, the mortals in the immortal world cannot come and go at will, which leads to the fact that the true immortals have the ceiling in combat power in the immortal world. It's a pity that the cultivation environment in the world is so poor that it is difficult to support the true immortals' breakthrough cultivation. It can only be said that there are advantages and disadvantages. For this reason, most of the monks who successfully overcome the tribulation and become immortals will choose to stay in the world, unless their lifespan is running out and they are forced to fly to the immortal world. Then, everyone drove Kunpeng and left Dazhou, facing the bright sunshine. Yi Junlin put his hands behind his head, relaxed and leaned on the recliner, thinking about all the things he encountered in Dazhou, and thoughts were spinning in his mind. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the abyss creatures suddenly launched a war against the outside world, which was promoted by someone behind the scenes. Their purpose was to occupy the Star Gate, cooperate internally and externally, and allow foreign races from outside the territory to invade the eastern region. In the other four major domains, sooner or later, we will face this situation. A crisis targeting the Kunlun world is coming quietly. To this, there is nothing in Yi Junlin, because he is a person who has traveled through time and has a cheating system. If there is something that threatens him, his relatives and friends, he can destroy it with just a few clicks. Yi Junlin adheres to the principle that when you should lie down, you should lie down, and when you should show off, you should show off. Don't have an extra sense of urgency and don't put pressure on yourself. In life, just do whatever you want. By the way, I almost forgot about this. Yi Junlin thought of something and took out a bag of feed from the system backpack. After opening it with a snap, a rich milky aroma filled the air. Yes, this is the best pet animal feed. It smells so good. Bai Xiaoxi's nose twitched slightly. When she saw the feed bag in Yi Junlin's hand, her eyes lit up and she hurriedly ran over. Master, can Shu Shu have a taste? Seeing Bai Xiaoxi's drooling look, Yi Junlin couldn't help but smile. This is for pet animals to eat. Pet beast? Bai Xiaoxi tilted her head, but rats are beasts. Hear the words, staring at the furry rat head in front of him, Yi Junlin burst into laughter. I almost forgot that his apprentice was actually a white mouse. He originally took it in with the intention of keeping it as a pet, which completely fit the category of pet animal. Okay, this bag is for you to eat as a snack. Yi Junlin said. Okay. Thank you, master. Bai Xiaoxi took the feed with both hands, raised it above her head like a child, and shouted happily, sitting cross-legged in the distance. Hong Qianya said with disdain, this stupid guy doesn't practice all day long and just thinks about eating. He has the same bad behavior as that surnamed Yi. Hong Qianya could tell that Bai Xiaoxi seemed to have a very strong physique, but since he joined the master, he had been doing nothing all day long, and was willing to become Yi Junlin's #1 follower. Up to now, we are still in the early stage of becoming a god. In his opinion, this waste of talent is a waste of life. Bai Xiaoxi stretched out her hand and grabbed a large handful of feed. Each feed was like a jujube, exuding a white luster. Then, he started to put it in his mouth and began to eat it, his eyes narrowed to the slits in enjoyment. Delicious, Bai Xiaoxi ate it with gusto. The more she ate, the more addicted she became and couldn't stop eating. Soon, its body showed a bright luster, and every pore on its body spurted out pure essence. In 1 second, the energy in his body suddenly erupted, and Bai Xiaoxi's cultivation level soared rapidly. The middle stage, late stage, peak, and perfection of becoming a god. Breakthrough. Fusion state. This is not over yet. As Bai Xiaoxi eats more, his cultivation level continues to increase. After eating the whole bag, its realm directly breaks through to the Mahayana. This. Hong Qianya was stunned with fright, and his inherent cognition was shattered by the impact of this scene. He suddenly found that he could not understand the world at all. It's simply outrageous. Window_tabula equals window_tabula .push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target _type, mix. Chapter 67, Love from Senior Brother Hong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The snacks given by Master are delicious. At this time, Bai Xiaoxi was still immersed in the delicious food. It was not until she came back to her senses that she realized that her state had changed. It's really the kind of thing that makes you feel good and keeps rising. Hey, why did Shu Shu break through? Bai Xiaoxi opened her eyes, her cute mouse face a little confused. Yi Junlin was very surprised. He didn't expect that a bag of top-quality pet animal feed would have such an exaggerated effect. From the early stage of, directly to the early stage of. What if I eat a few more bags? Isn't it the direct original immortal? Senior sister Bai, you. Li Wujie, who was originally studying magic, noticed this scene and was so frightened that he almost dropped his hand. It's that bag of snacks that's to blame. Hong Qianya's eyes gleamed as she stared at the bag in Bai Xiaoxi's hand, as if there were turbulent waves inside. I'm really curious. What level of treasure trove does Yi Junlin have that he can always come up with such shocking good things? Hong Qianya's heart is ready to move. If is considering that he has fought, he really wants to take away everything from the other party. Xiao Shi, do you still want to eat? Yi Junlin asked. Bai Xiaoxi's eyes were bright and she nodded her head like garlic. Okay, Shu Shu still wants to eat more. Yi Junlin had 4 more bags of pet animal feed in his hand. He wanted to see if Bai Xiaoxi could really continue to break through. Bai Xiaoxi was so excited when she saw 4 packs of snacks with sufficient portions. It quickly took it, opened one of the bags, sniffed it with its nose, showing an expression of joy. Then, Bai Xiaoxi stretched out her hand to grab the feed, stuffed it into her mouth and chewed it. Her cheeks were bulging, which was really cute. Yi Junlin paid close attention to Bai Xiaoxi and found that after eating the 3rd bag, his cultivation level had only reached the advanced stage. Yi Junlin understood now. If you eat more continuously and repeatedly, the effect will be reduced, but Yi Junlin didn't think it mattered, because to him it was just a kind of pet food. Then, Yi Junlin took out 5 more bags of top-quality pet animal feed and shouted to the giant beast at his feet, "Kuan, you have been working hard recently, this is a snack for you, Aha." 5 bags of top-grade pet animal feed were suspended in the air, glowing brightly and flying towards Kuanpeng's eyes. Kuanpeng was very happy and opened his mouth to suck it in. Logically speaking, such a small amount of food is enough to fill the space between its teeth, but the feed rewarded by this system is very special. It is essentially a release of energy, which can satisfy the appetite in equal proportions. After eating 5 bags of top-quality pet animal feed, Kuanpeng's body bloomed with circles of dazzling blue luster. Perhaps because of the purest divine beast bloodline, its cultivation level has increased from the early stages up to perfection. Kuanpeng let out a cheerful cry, conveying joyful mental fluctuations to Yi Junlin, as happy as a child who was rewarded by his parents. Ah, this! Li Wujia's words were almost steady, and his eyes were so wide that they almost fell out. Damn it, just eat that little bit of food and your state will be like a joke. Master is indeed enigmatic. Li Wujia sighed and looked at the silver-haired young man with even more admiration. Hong Qianye was stunned at first, then showed indignation, and said secretly, "Is this way of improving cultivation fair to people who work hard to cultivate? It must be strongly condemned morally. The most important thing is that this must be there are side effects. Even if I give it to you, I'll take it." Although Hong Qianye rethought so, her eyes were still staring at the bag of feed in Bai Xiaoxi's hand. At this time, Bai Xiaoxi did not want to continue swallowing the dates. Instead, she started to put them into her mouth one by one, chewing them slowly and tasting them, enjoying the deliciousness of the new snacks. Hong Qianye ducked behind the sycamore tree near the palace and secretly sent a message, "Xiaoxi, come here." Bai Xiaoxi was stunned, looking at the source of the sound, and saw Hong Qianye waving towards it. "It's senior brother Hong, his name is Shu Shu." Bai Xiaoxi was very happy, because most of the time, senior brother Hong had a very indifferent attitude towards it. Even the few times it had the courage to approach it and strike up a conversation, it was treated with a look of disgust. Drink back. This made Bai Xiaoxi a little disappointed, but now that Hong Qianye took the initiative to call it, Bai Xiaoxi felt accepted. Bai Xiaoxi walked over with short legs and ran over happily. "Senior brother Hong, do you have anything to do with Shu Shu?" Hong Qianye stared at this silly rat face and sneered secretly, "This is stupid." He coughed a few times and said seriously, "I want to say that what master gave you is poisonous." Ah! Bai Xiaoxi was stunned, then shook her head wildly. "It's possible, master will harm Shu Shu. And Shu Shu's cultivation level will increase after eating it." Humph, everything has 2 sides. Even the pills swallowed by cultivators will have residual medicinal properties in the body. The residue needs to be refined afterwards, otherwise it will affect the foundation. Therefore, some monks who rely on pills to build up their foundations it will be very bad. Hong Qianye crossed her arms, raised her chin slightly, and said in a tone of educating juniors, "And the stuff you eat seems to be helpful in breaking through the realm, but in fact it is counterproductive, and it is certain that it will accumulate in the body. If you continue to eat this amount of toxins, it will be a chronic suicide." Bai Xiaoxi was stunned when she heard this, and stopped chewing. After swallowing it with difficulty, she said weakly, "But the reason why master gave it to Shu Shu to eat means that there is no problem with snacks. Senior brother Hong, did you misunderstand? Besides, Shu Shu didn't feel any discomfort in his body." Hearing this, Hong Qianye frowned, stretched out his hand and placed it on Bai Xiaoxi's head, and closed his eyes to sense it. seeing that Bai Xiaoxi's meridians were intact, the foundation was extremely solid, and there were even streams of pure and incomparable primordial essences, which kept flowing in various parts of the body. Hong Qianye was shocked. There are really no side effects, which is more effective than taking drugs. At this moment, the previous cognition was overturned. Hong Qianye stared at the bag of feed in Bai Xiaoxi's hand, his eyes shining brightly, mixed with concealed greed. Being stared at with such eyes, Bai Xiaoxi felt very uncomfortable, and said cautiously, "Brother Hong, if there is nothing else, Shu will leave first." "Leave the snacks." Hong Qianye said with an imposing manner, looking directly into Bai Xiaoxi's eyes. Bai Xiaoxi looked at the snacks in his hand, reluctantly whispered, "Brother Hong, Shu hasn't eaten enough." "Hurry up, you are your brother, you have to listen to you." "But this is for Shu." Seeing that the hamster disobeyed his orders, out of the desire to improve his cultivation, Hong Qianye was directly timid, and stretched out his hand to grab the bag of feed with a grim smile. "Take it." Chapter 68. The fairy's fart smells so good. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bai Xiaoxi was stunned, watching the snacks being snatched away, tears welling up in her eyes. Hong Qianye weighed the feed bag in her hand, and the smile on her lips became even more intense. Seeing Bai Xiaoxi's aggrieved look, she scolded, "Why are you crying? Hold it back. Also, you are not allowed to tell the master about this, do you understand?" Hong Qianye's imposing manner frightened Bai Xiaoxi so much that she shrank her neck and said weakly, "Okay. Why are you still here? Get out of my sight." Hong Qianye said impatiently, "I get angry just by looking at this stupid mouse." Bai Xiaoxi held back her tears, turned around and ran away. Senior brother snatched Shu's snacks. Shu felt so miserable. Looking at the fleeing back, Hong Qianye smiled contemptuously, "Little mouse, I will take control of you." Hong Qianye looked down at the feed in his hand, with a gleam in his eyes. Next, it's time to break through the tribulation in one fell swoop. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Hong Qianye poured the whole bag of feed into his mouth without saying a word. Well, it has a strong milky flavor, fragrant and sweet, melts in the mouth, and tastes delicious. After eating, Hong Qianye's eyebrows twisted into knots, and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. "What's going on? Why does my stomach feel bloated?" Hong Qianye didn't know that this was specially for pets to eat. If humans eat it, they will have a rejection reaction in their bodies, and there is no effect of increasing their cultivation at all. At this time, a group of essence energy was running wildly in Hong Qianye's lower abdomen. "No, if we continue like this." Hong Qianye's face changed, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. If he let this energy run rampant, his body would be damaged. He must take measures to solve the problem quickly. As his thoughts turned, Hong Qianye decisively took a horse stance and guided the energy in his lower abdomen. His originally fair face turned red like an apple, and beads of sweat were dripping down his face, and his breathing became rapid. Puff. A loud fart sound was heard, and a strong energy airflow was released, like Kunpeng's back. In addition to the palace that Yi Junlin moved here, there were also pavilions, courtyard bridges, sand and vegetation. From a distance, it looked like a small holiday island. This fart made a noise, like a bomb exploding, causing a lot of dust to fly and the woods to rustle. Hong Qianye only felt that there was an invisible force bursting out from under his buttocks, supporting his body to rise up and fly into the air. Ever since the snacks were taken away, Bai Xiaoxi has been unhappy. Yi Junlin, as usual, was leaning on the recliner and enjoying the sunbath. He noticed that Bai Xiaoxi was walking towards him in a low mood and asked in confusion, "Xiaoxi, what's wrong with you?" In the past, this rat was the only one who was heartless and full of energy all the time. Why is he so listless now? Bai Xiaoxi wanted to make fun of it, but when he thought about the consequences, he had to swallow his words. The rat was bitter, but he didn't say it. Bai Xiaoxi felt that if she told her master about this, he would definitely punish senior brother Hong and would definitely hate him even more. Bai Xiaoxi quietly came to the side, picked up the milk tea on the table and slurped it. When she was in a bad mood, drinking something sweet would heal her. Yi Junlin frowned and was about to ask, but there was a loud bang, and the whole island was slightly shaken. "What's going on?" Yi Junlin sat up from the recliner and opened his eyes. Just then, he saw a red-clothed figure flying into the sky, breaking away from Kunpeng's flight trajectory. Yi Junlin stretched out his hand, and his palm burst out with terrible suction, directly pulling the opponent back for more than 1,000 meters. Swish! Hong Qianye staggered to the ground, her flawless face red as if it was about to bleed. She was so ashamed that she wanted to find a crack to hide in. A dignified leader of the demon cult, she just farted. Moreover, it was a super loud fart. Enemy attack. Master, there is an enemy attack. Li Wujie rushed over in a hurry, holding a knife and shouting anxiously, Yi Junlin. Feeling that the atmosphere was a bit strange, Li Wujie was stunned, his face was a little confused. Isn't it? Yi Junlin coughed a few times, stared at Hong Qianye and said seriously, Xiaohong, tell me, what's going on? In front of this silver-haired young man, Hong Qianye's strength just now disappeared, replaced by a kind of uneasiness, hesitating. Are you deaf? Your master is asking you a question. Yi Junlin's eyes were like lightning, and he scolded, boom. A strong momentum burst out, like the power of heaven. Disciple knows I'm wrong. Please forgive me, master. Hong Qianye's psychological defense line collapsed, and he knelt down unconsciously, lowering his head and shouting. He knew that the guy in front of him loved that stupid mouse the most. If the matter of stealing things was known, he would be skinned alive if he didn't die. Yi Junlin touched his nose, feeling a little depressed. It's just a fart, why be so scared? Is it true that he is too harsh on his disciples? Suddenly, cold sweat broke out on Hong Qianye's forehead, his facial muscles were twitching, and his body was shaking uncontrollably. It seemed that he was trying to hold back something, but it was difficult to do so. You. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, poof. A loud fart sounded, and a huge airflow spread violently, blowing Yi Junlin's silver-white long hair wildly, and his face was full of shock. Hong Qianye was ejected again and was blown into the sky by a fart. Senior brother Hong. Li Wujie said in astonishment. Bai Xiaoxi sniffed, and his rat face showed surprise. Senior brother Hong's fart is so fragrant. That's right, the gas released by Hong Qianye not only has no odor, but is full of rich milk fragrance, which makes people feel good after smelling it. Yi Junlin was confused. What on earth is going on? Why did a cultivator in the realm of chastity suddenly fart? And this fart is strangely fragrant. Suddenly, Yi Junlin thought of something, turned his head to look at Bai Xiaoxi, and asked, did that guy steal your snacks? Bai Xiaoxi looked nervous and said carefully, yes, give him the rat. Senior brother Hong said he wanted to try it too. Hee. Yi Junlin sneered. He guessed at once that Hong Qianye must have seen the efficacy of the top-grade pet animal feed, so he had evil thoughts and snatched it directly from Bai Xiaoxi. As a result, the pet animal feed is only for animals, not for humans, which caused the current situation. Even the things of the same junior sister are snatched. There is indeed a devil in her bones. It seems that he still needs to be trained. Bai Xiaoxi asked weakly, Master, don't we help senior brother Hong? Don't pay attention to him, he deserves it, and he will be fine after he farts. Yi Junlin snorted coldly, leaning lazily on the recliner again, smelling the milky fragrance in the air. Yi Junlin's expression was a little intoxicated, and suddenly he reacted suddenly, his face darkened. Fuck, what is this? He, the master, actually smelled his apprentice's fart. Yi Junlin shook his sleeves with a dark face, and the milky fragrance in the air was swept away, and his face eased a lot. Li Wujie stood there in a daze, confused from beginning to end, because what happened that day was too bizarre. He was a little confused for a while. Oh, let's go, let's practice sword. At this time, Hong Qianye gritted his teeth, still digesting the energy in his stomach, and from time to time, gas burst out from his buttocks, pushing him across the mountains and seas. Chasing Kunpeng and disappearing. Fart all your farts, then roll back and accept the punishment. In the distance, a cold voice fell in his ears. My master. Hong Qianye's face was bitter, and he was very regretful. Fortunately, this scene was not seen by his former enemies, otherwise he would have no face to live in this world. Hey, look, what a beautiful fairy. In a remote village, the villagers looked up and shouted happily at Hongqianye flying through the sky. There's a strange sound. Someone pricked up his ears, listened to the puffing sound, and opened his eyes curiously. Why do I feel that this sound is like farting? A cowherd boy was surprised. Nonsense. How can such a beautiful fairy fart? The old village chief held a cane in his hand and knocked the cowherd boy on the head and scolded him. Then, he looked at the gorgeous figure in red in the sky and shouted excitedly, "This fairy is sending down the fairy air. Blessing our Heba village. Everyone, hurry up and breathe in the fairy air. Hurry up and breathe in. Fairy air. So this is the fairy air. No wonder I smell it so good. Hurry up, breathe in the fairy air." That the villagers of Heba village were all excited, scrambling to chase Hongqianye, sniffing hard with their noses, their faces filled with excitement, as if the more they inhaled, the more benefits they would get. This incident will become a legend in this village in the future. It is said that on a sunny morning, a beautiful fairy in red happened to pass by Heba village. Seeing that the villagers were simple and kind, she specially brought down auspicious fairy spirit. At that time, the villagers benefited from it and became full of energy and walked briskly. Chapter 69 The Counterfeit Appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 months later, the sun was shining brightly, and the clouds were rolling. A luxurious treasure ship was flying towards a certain place on the air current. The ship was like a large holiday hotel, and many monks from all over the world lived in it. Some of them were drinking and talking about the Tao, some were discussing gossip, some were showing off their backgrounds to each other, and some were eating, drinking and having fun. I really want to hurry to Wuzhou. It is said that the Medicine King Valley there is about to open. I don't want to miss this rare opportunity. Hey, the competition will definitely be fierce. Look at our entire ship, all of them are going to Wuzhou. Yes, I heard that the Tian-shaped boxes are all full of gods. We are just small shrimps who have built our foundation, and we are only worthy of standing in front of them and blowing the wind. What's that? It is said that there are more than a dozen Tianjins from the Immortal Tao sect in the Tao-shaped boxes above. Hiss. Tianjun. That's a big boss in the fusion realm. That the reputation of Medicine King Valley has been full of wonders in the eastern region since ancient times. It is a supreme treasure full of opportunities. It is said that the earliest master of Medicine King Valley was called Medicine Lord. His medical skills were extremely superb, and he was highly respected by the monks in the ancient times. The Medicine King Valley planted various famous medicines, and there was also a super-large spirit gathering array, which directly absorbed the spiritual energy of most of Wuzhou for cultivation. Any ordinary precious medicine thrown out would cause a bloody storm in the world. Logically speaking, this kind of thing would definitely be coveted by various forces, but the Medicine King Valley chose to stay away from it, not only because the medicine master could cure diseases and make friends, but also because his strength was terrifying and his cultivation was unfathomable. Later, the medicine master proved his way with medicine, passed the tribulation and became an immortal, used his great supernatural powers to transform the Medicine King Valley, set up various magic arrays, and ascended to heaven after finishing, leaving endless legends to the world. From then on, the Medicine King Valley was opened every 100,000 days, and the opening time was limited, and the number of people entering was also limited, and no matter who it is, as long as they wantonly destroy the environment in Yaowang Valley, they will be wiped out by the power left by Yaozuan. Yaozuan did this, on the one hand, to bless the common people and give the younger generation the opportunity to change their fate, and on the other hand, to maintain the normal operation of Yaowang Valley and prevent all the precious medicines inside from being wasted. And these few days, it happened to be the time when Yaowang Valley was opened again. For this reason, countless cultivators heard the news and rushed to Wuzhou, eagerly waiting for Yaowang Valley to open. For ordinary cultivators, this is definitely a good opportunity for grassroots to turn over. As for those big guys with a good reputation, they naturally want to make further progress in their cultivation. On the treasure ship, noises came one after another. At this time, an old and cold voice suddenly came, with unquestionable tyranny. The one in front, stop for me. The treasure ship, which was originally moving at high speed, suddenly stopped with a break, causing thousands of cultivators in the ship to stagger and look gloomy. Who is that? So arrogant? A strong man in animal skin roared, bursting with the cultivation of Xuanhuan. What's going on? Why stop when I say so? A young man in a long robe and with a handsome face scolded, his eyes full of murderous intent. Even mud has a little anger, not to mention that they are cultivators who can call the wind and rain. Now that this treasure ship was stopped suddenly, many people on the scene were dissatisfied and wanted to find a vent. Fellow Taoists, take out all the valuables in your hands, don't force me to do it myself. In front, the old voice continued to sound. What? It turned out to be a robbery. An uproar broke out in the treasure ship. Who is so bold? How dare to intercept them blatantly? Humph, our ship has a heavenly lord in charge, how dare such a blind dog come to cause trouble? The manager, just hit him to death. Angry shouts rang out, whether it was the tianzi-shaped or dozi-shaped boxes, they all released terrible murderous auras. Rumble, the sky was covered with dark clouds, with faint thunder and lightning, it was about to explode. Captain, why don't you open the formation and kill the bandits in front directly? The current passengers have a lot of opinions about us. A subordinate hurried over to complain. No, never. The captain's forehead was covered with beads of sweat, and he stammered, if we really do this, all of us will be finished. This. The subordinate was horrified. You know, this treasure ship is made of spiritual tools, and the formation inside is set up by the formation master. When it bursts out with all its strength, even the heavenly monarch of the fusion realm will be in trouble. It is definitely an excellent weapon to escort guests. Moreover, there are cultivators from all over the world on the ship, and they all have certain backgrounds. Who has such a big means to dare to kill them all? Excuse me, sir, what is your name? The host walked to the bow and shouted tentatively, as if he wanted to verify his guess. In the distance, there were clouds and mists. An old man wearing a black embroidered gold robe and a head full of white long hair was standing on a crane, with his hands behind his back, his eyes like lightning, and he said calmly, Xiantian sect, Yi Junlin. Beside him, there were three figures standing. There was a tall young woman wearing a fiery red skirt, with skin as white as jade. She crossed her arms, her breasts were quite spectacular, and she looked up high. There was a burly man with a tall head and a bamboo hat on his head. He held the hilt of the knife at his waist with his right hand. His eyes were gleaming and his face was full of flesh. He looked like he was going to draw his knife and chop someone if he didn't agree with him. There was also a short dwarf-like figure. Although he was a man, he was wearing a pink skirt, which made him look out of place. He wore a white veil and looked down on his face. These figures were very similar to the four groups in the rumors. Especially the white-haired old man. When he opened his mouth to reveal his identity, he frightened the host and verified his guess. It's really him. White-haired killer god Yi Junlin. As soon as these words came out, the originally angry guests shuddered as if they were drenched in ice water. They trembled all over and looked forward with fear in their eyes. As for the so-called shaped boxes on the treasure ship, the murderous intent released by them was instantly restrained and dissipated. As if nothing had happened, everyone trembled and regretted what they had just said. That was the white-haired killer whose reputation resounded throughout the eastern region. The big boss who had the blood of millions of cultivators on his hands and trampled on the face of the Yu sect. Even at the Shui family banquet a while ago, the Qing Immortal who had broken through the tribulation went to cause trouble, but was killed on the spot by the opponent. It was at that time that many people realized that Yi Junlin of Xiantian sect was not a venerable, but a genuine immortal. Now, this guy actually robbed people in broad daylight. By the way, is it really him? I always feel that he wouldn't do such a thing. He must be a fake, right? Are you blind? Didn't you see the people standing next to him? It's exactly the same as the rumors. That's right, the woman is the red fairy, the man is the blade demon Li Wujia, and the shortest one is the white-haired god of death's personal boy. With this lineup, you still think it's fake? I'm really impressed by your IQ. Don't drag us with you if you want to die. window, underscore tabula equals window, underscore tabula dot push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target underscore type, mix. Chapter 70, The Fox Borrows the Power of the Tiger to Bully Others. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Suddenly, a middle-aged man in the crowd hesitated for a long time and said, "But there are also rumors that the mount is the ancient mythical beast Xuanhuan." "Damn, do you believe this?" Another young man sneered, "That kind of mythical beast has been extinct in the Junlin world a long time ago, how could it appear to serve as a mount?" "Yes, it must have been blown up by someone who did something good. No matter how powerful Yi Junlin is, he can't use Xuanhuan as a mount. I would like to advise those who think they are fakes not to implicate everyone before they die. The white-haired old devil is very cruel. Hey, I should have known better before I went out to do my fortune-telling." Everyone was downcast, like frost beating the eggplant. In addition to Yi Junlin's evil reputation, coupled with his daily rumors, his image has long been demonized in various ways, so when something like this happened, even if the monks on the ship had doubts, due to the intimidation and the influence of the companions around them, they had no choice but to swallow their anger and give up resistance. After all, if you make a mistake, wouldn't your life be lost? Don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of what happens. It's better to spend money to eliminate disaster. See this scene, the white-haired old man showed a meaningful smile on his lips, coughed a few times and pretended to be serious and said, "Li Wujie." "Master, disciple." The man in the hat said respectfully. "Why don't you quickly accept the kindness of fellow Taoists?" "Yes." The man in the bamboo hat turned around with a ferocious smile on his face, pulled out his long knife and charged at the treasure ship. He was like a vicious bandit and yelled, "Be smart and hand over all your valuables. Don't force you, Mr. Li, to kill people." The monks on the deck dared not speak out in anger, so they all had to take out their storage rings. The man in the bamboo hat was holding a knife, walking with a swagger, and his eyes were so fierce that no one along the way dared to look at him. It is said that the sword demon Li Wujie chased and slashed the young master of the Shui family at the Shui family banquet. He was very bold and had no rules. Seeing the arrogant man in the hat, everyone became more convinced that this was the real man, and they were deeply afraid of offending him and being hacked to death. Li Wujie collected their storage rings, then went to each box and kicked the doors one by one, cursing and saying, "If you step on a horse, will everyone die inside? Get them all out, Master Li." Soon, a bunch of transformed gods walked out of the shaped box, and a few came out of the Dao-shaped box. They looked ugly and obediently took out their valuable belongings. The man in the bamboo hat was familiar with the road, and he came to the luxurious stateroom of the treasure ship with the highest specifications. He raised his foot and was about to kick it out. Seeing this, the owner of the ship hurried over and said with a sorry smile, "Master Li, you must not do it. There are 2 tributes inside. A visitor from the state has a big background, you see." The man in the bamboo hat said with a fierce expression, "No matter what you do, you still have to sell Master's face. If you are sensible, just get out of here, otherwise, you will all die when Master takes action." Hearing these words, the captain turned pale with fright. At this time, the doors suddenly opened. Inside, there is a middle-aged man wearing black and white clothing, with his hair in a bun and a goatee. His face is gloomy and he stands with his hands behind his back. He exudes the aura of cultivation in the Mahayana realm. Sitting next to him was a woman in yellow clothes with a skin as smooth as gelatin and a graceful figure. At this time, her almond-shaped eyes were wide and her pretty face was full of anger. The man in the bamboo hat was stunned in place. There is actually a genuine venerable person here. After his brain went blank for a short time, the man in the hat quickly returned to his original state, raised the long knife in his hand and pointed it at the middle-aged man, and said arrogantly, "You really want to do something, don't you? Believe it or not, Master will kill you." Bang. The woman in yellow had the temper of a young lady. She stood up and smashed the table made of year-old immortal wood into pieces, glaring angrily as if she wanted to do something. Behind her, faint shadows of stars appeared, trying to illuminate the world, and a terrifying pressure swept through the entire room. At such a young age, he has already cultivated the body fusion realm, and he seems to have some kind of special physique, so he has a bright future. The man in the hat trembled in his heart and almost ran away, but thanks to his familiar acting skills, he stabilized his mind and pretended to be calm. He sneered and said, "Damn girl, are you trying to play tricks with your masterly? Who do you think killed the girl?" The woman in yellow was angry, her fist filled with bright stars, and she was about to explode towards the man in the hat. The man in the bamboo hat felt a chill on his back, secretly thinking that he was really going to fall into trouble this time. At the critical moment, a big hand grabbed the wrist of the woman in yellow. The middle-aged man in black and white clothes said in a deep voice, "Miss, don't be impulsive. Let handle this matter. Uncle Fan." Anmiaoyi was very reluctant. Fan Dijing shook his head, raised his hands to the man in the bamboo hat and said, "This fellow Taoist, we are from the Taoist sect in Guangzhou. Can you please make it easier this time? I will definitely come to visit your Xuan sect one day." Taoism. The eyelids of the man in the bamboo hat trembled. This could be ranked within the Great Immortal Gate of the Eastern region. It is said that there were several immortals in ancient times. Oh dear, this is really kicking the iron. Wait, what are you afraid of? Now I am the apprentice of the sword demon Li Wujie, the white-haired killing god Yi Junlin. When it comes to Taoism, is it awesome? Suppressing the shock in his heart, the man in the hat sneered a few times. "We'll talk about it later, now hand over all the valuables." Fan Dijing narrowed his eyes and stared at the man in the hat. "I didn't even think about it, even if I took out the name Taoist sect, I couldn't stop the guy in front of me." As expected, the sword demon Li Wujie acted without any scruples. Perhaps Master Yi Junlin is behind this. As soon as his thoughts changed, Fan Jingde suddenly understood again. After all, people even dare to offend the Yuhua sect, let alone Taoist sect. The man in the hat was stared at so much that his back felt cold and his hair stood on end, but out of professionalism, he still had a sinister smile on his face and a fierce gaze. "In fact, I regretted it a lot. Why didn't I click on it just now? If the other party broke the pot, I would be responsible for my life, Mom. I had known earlier that I wouldn't be too involved in the drama." At this moment, Fan Dijing seemed to have made up his mind. He took out the storage ring, and said with a smile, "This is the storage ring that you carry with you. It contains 5 million top-quality spiritual crystals. I have a few spiritual weapons that I can barely use, so I asked my Taoist friends to collect them and tell Yi Shuxian that they are from Taoist sect." A radiant storage ring floated away and fell into the hands of the man in a bamboo hat. The man in the bamboo hat breathed a little faster, and his heart was extremely ecstatic. "Get rich. This makes you rich. Uncle Fan. What are you?" Anmiaoyi stomped her feet angrily, feeling that this behavior was extremely embarrassing. Fan Dijing took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Fellow Taoist, are you still satisfied?" The man in the bamboo hat pretended to be calm, accepted the storage ring, and coldly snorted, "You know what's going on, and you will truthfully report to Master when you get back." After saying that, he walked out of the room with a knife on his shoulder. When walking up the stairs, the man in a bamboo hat had his legs trembling a little, his face flushed with excitement, and he secretly said in his heart, Hey, just run away after showing off, how exciting. Do you see? Even the Taoist master pays the money. Hey, let's just say it's true. I was a bit unbelievable just now, but luckily it didn't cause a big disaster. I can't help it. If you do something like this, consider yourself unlucky, that everyone whispered, feeling very lucky. With joy in his heart, the man in the bamboo hat jumped out of the treasure ship and came to the white-haired old man. He pretended to hold up his hands and said, Master, fellow Taoists, I have accepted all my disciples for their kindness. The white-haired old man's face was calm and intimidating, and he was dressed in a solemn black robe. His eyes opened and closed with a cold light, and he slowly said, Well, very good, it seems that people are still willing to sell Yi Junlin. Face. Let's go. Yes, swish swish swish. The group of people rode the crane away and disappeared into the surging clouds and mist. On the treasure ship, everyone was relieved and still worried about what had just happened. The captain even cried with joy, feeling that he would survive the disaster. In the private room on the top floor, Miaoi put her hands on her hips, her pretty face was very dissatisfied, and asked, "Uncle Fan, you are so disappointing." Fan Dejing twitched the corner of his mouth and said depressedly, "Miss, I am here to protect your safety. If I don't give you face, Yi Junlin will definitely kill them all with his cruel and murderous temperament. And you see, my disciples don't take our Taoist sect seriously at all. If anything happens to you, you will be a sinner of the Taoist sect." Miaoi was still angry and said angrily, "It's true that the top beam is not upright. This Yi Junlin is too much. Why can he be helpless? The eastern region can do whatever he wants.